Artificial Intelligence, Law and Justice, Session 39, Law, Technology and Future. In the previous session, we discussed about the relationship between AI, law and justice in light of earlier sessions. We highlighted the point that we should not take a technologically deterministic perspective or a techno-utopian perspective. Instead, we sought to understand development in a broader context. We highlighted the AI in law and justice is much more than a mere technical tool. In fact, we emphasize that the need for responsible ethical AI in law and justice is all the more obvious. More importantly, we also talked about the limitations of techno-utopianist perspective or techno-solutions perspective in the context of AI law and justice. And we also took a stand that it is also important to understand AI as a regular technology or a normal technology than to go by the hype around AI. So we should decided that AI should not be deciding or determining the criteria in law and justice. Rather, its role should be a limited but special one. The initial thoughts on AI and legal industry, first it was thought that AI is not going to replace the human legal professionals. Human legal advice will have significant value and then will always be relevant. This came when the time AI was undergoing significant winters and then some of the developments like today were not even on the horizon. Similarly, it was also expected that society will spend less on illegal services and then a reduction in expenditure by orders of magnitude will happen in the sense that society will not be betting too much on AI in law. Similarly, it also thought that the room or the scope for attorneys is not going to be diminished either. And then human level will always be more sought and more valuable than the AI one. But today, things have really changed. So today, it's possible to think of AI without limits or imagining a future with AI without limits. This sort of imagination is necessary, although we can say that even if core AI applications may hit a wall or their limitations may become so obvious that we may not have greater expectations in the future. But law is grounded in reality. It is founded in a world with limited human resources with so many constraints inbuilt. And then evolution of legal practice also involves willing to write on a new thing, envisioning without constraint of the past. So we can still think of AI not as a general technology, but as a enabler, a technology that can result in a paradigm shift in law and justice. But technology, when it has to get integrated into legal systems, there are always some issues which pop up. That happens whenever technology has to get into some legacy systems or systems that are not fully equipped to deal with technologies. The rapid technological advances versus the system's ability to cope up with or absorb it is a major point. And then the legal bodies or the legal institutions have been very slow in responding to AI when compared to many other sectors, including finance, health, and education. And often it is underestimated that AI is not going to make a huge difference. So people underestimate the impact of AI in the medium term and the long term. Whereas although in the immediate short term, they may be aware that AI is going to make an impact, but not very clear about it. Most of the government structures, processes, including the constitutional law structures and all, are not equipped for the AI generation or for not equipped for AI. They are more suited to the analog culture or for the analog revolution. And then, more often than anything else, the market demand for AI-related legal services and also the other factors are going to be the major drivers than any other source. So if you look at the revolutionary time, then we can look at the many things here. Starting from 2018 to 2023, in the 5 years, too many things have happened in the sense that what has happened in the 5 years was much greater and much more impactful than what had happened in the last 2 decades in AI and law and justice. So technological wise, today we have reasoning models, availability of software available as a service into the legal sector easily, and then there are a lot of free or open source models available today. And people are feeling the impact of AI in their daily lives more than ever before. So if we look at the comparisons as a historical technology adoption, Legal adoption is also facing the same problem, but legal adoption or adoption of AI in law and justice is also undergoing the same phase now, in the sense that we are not even in the catch-up phase between law and technology or between law, justice, and technology. So the revolution timeline tells us that paradox is ChatGPT and things have brought in lots of changes, but they are not yet fully reflected in the way AI and then justice is being practiced in courts and elsewhere. Of course, we know about the tools, what they have changes they have brought in, like instant generation of insightful reports, then modules coming up with superior legal theories compared to humans. Proficient drafting is now by machines has been proved again and again. And then this has accelerated in a lot of legal processes, if not within the whole AI, within the legal system as such, but within many companies that are practicing AI or that are using AI as part of their legal practice. Then the case law databases today are much more sophisticated, much more well organized, and then they are also operate at a level of competency, in the sense that instant legal drafting and research is possible by using them. So human touch is very minimally required, in the sense that a good prompting is good enough to start an instant legal research and drafting, and then human lawyers' performance has been calibrated compared with AI. AI is doing much more better. So the meaningful integration by 2025 was anticipated, but it is also happening, and LLMs in law have improved with many web search facilities. So today what we are seeing is that systems performance is almost similar to top tier research attorneys in many senses, but not fully. And then they also exhibit good skills in sense of understanding, coming up with reasoning, and then giving orders that are legible and all. But humans still oversee and guide the process. Machines generally outperform humans in the fundamental process, but then human competency in research and writing is still unmatched. So the human lawyers are able to score much better and are able to hold on to their forte, not because of any other factor, but because of superior competency in research and writing being a major one. But for how long will this last, and for how long we will see that human lawyers holding forth like this? Now, the practice examples or the case law or the case studies from use of law, AI in law and justice repeatedly tell us one thing, that people are using AI tools to get new ideas, to write, to revise the drafts, and so many ways. And then AI tools are also being used to get feedback on writings. For example, in the market there are so many AI tools that enable one to write, or that help one to come up with drafts, or at least help one to review and revise one's text. So in terms of document reading and writing, AI tools are becoming a major tool, either to get an accuracy in reading or to improve the very human writing itself. But in the case of judicial system, the situation is somewhat different. The current workflows and practices in judicial systems are human-centric, and then the time range or the timelines and then the analytical capabilities are based on humans. So as a result, these can be considered as flawed assumptions within the context of AI, or when AI's performance is taken into account, these are flawed, underperforming assumptions. But in litigation practice, when digitization started, it started on a slower pace, but then internet, email, digitization of documents and other processes significantly altered the pace. And AI is going to bring deeper changes into judicial system and practical practice workflows, for the simple reason that as judiciary has no other option except to use AI for various purposes. So in AI in legal strategies is again done by human super lawyers, achieving unimaginable efficiency in many companies. And then AI is now almost all practical areas of law, and then it is also taking care of legal real-time developments. So advanced legal strategies today are possible for drafting legal strategies, drafting papers, constructing arguments, collating things, in the sense that AI's role in legal strategies is becoming all the more important now. Now, AI is also creating synergy with the overall broad digitization framework in the legal system. So, these synergies paradoxically may reduce the need for many legal services. For example, we have discussed this even earlier, giving an example of an AI agent, where if two AI agents can be entrusted with multiple tasks or can work as a team, and when they work as a team, they will bring in synergy. When that happens, there's a need, the need for many legal services will be reduced. For example, if a team of AI agents can manage right from the preliminary draft, final to the submission and the review and submission stage of a document, then many legal services or many legal processes are getting totally eliminated in the process. Similarly, fundamental legal services like drafting or filing an appeal or doing mundane things may get eliminated if AI tools like chatbots and then tools which enable the litigant himself or herself to waddle through the system, then the services for them will get diminished. AI advance will also minimize the need for elementary legal service requirements made by many courts, because if these things can be done by general public themselves, who themselves can deal directly with the court, in the sense that there is no need for the court to open up a desk or open up a forum or put someone in the counter so that people can fill up the forms or file petitions in writing. Instead, the process can be automated. People can simply upload, or people can start the workflow process by uploading the document or by submitting a document without any human intervention. So, when this synergy happens with other technologies, a significant number of legal services where human intervention is required today, even at the basic level, will get eliminated. For example, a super efficient, fully automated legal service system in a court may, using AI and other tools, can automatically get the cases numbered, can get them scheduled, as well as get them assigned to different benches if the court management system is fully in place. So, many of the things which are now done by teams of people, matching and mixing, and the sense that, going through different things and then trying to see where to fit in, can be totally eliminated if there are going to be very efficient legal AI tools being available. But it's a question of time that such service will be available. And with AI's availability, we can easily bring universal legal literacy. In fact, this can be one of the objectives of bringing AI into law and justice, in the sense that we can have digital tools, we can have chatbots, we can have digital manuals and then other teaching materials available to the common public, so that legal literacy can be available to all, in the sense that just as we are literate today in terms of reading and writing, universal legal literacy will be possible with the help of AI. This can also help us in realizing reliable free legal advice being made available through technology to vast the public. Similarly, for most disputes, this solution may be easily available, instantly available, provided the system is able to take quick decisions and then there is a human on the loop to oversee them. So, it is possible with universal legal literacy and free tools, legal tools, and also the dispute settlement mechanism being more technological savvy and technological friendly, including the facility to use different AI tools, particularly for online dispute resolution and mediation and arbitration. A lot of the legal services which are today available scattered across platforms or scattered across different forums or in different places or institutions can be clubbed together, in the sense that there can be universal legal service authority or universal legal service station where people can access different services from a single entity. We have also seen that AI's capability to learn, accommodate and then improve its own performance. So the contracts and insurance policies can become up to date, can become self-learning, or can become dynamic and adaptable. Similarly, when we introduce smart contracts to counter planning fallacies, it is easily possible the legal documents that can get updated. For example, the insurance policy may get updated based on the revision of some of the notifications by the IREDA, they can directly pick up certain things from there. They can directly pick up certain information from the company's website and then club them together and then make the insurance policy more update. In the sense that this is technically feasible even now. More importantly, this sort of dynamic and adaptable nature to evolution of legal instruments will also ensure that contracts are smarter and then they are more legally coherent and then everyone understands in clear terms what are the binding terms and then what are the commitments under them. Similarly, when it comes to dispute settlement, as we said, the processes can be quicker, faster, more streamlined and then made online available. But it is also possible to expand the scope of various disputes to be resolved by AI-based systems than now. Because right now, alternate dispute resolution mechanisms or arbitration or mediation is limited and available only in few sectors and only for some specific purposes on account of various limitations. But integrating AI into law and justice can make a huge difference by extending the technical capability, by building new tools and systems being made available. The dispute resolution system scope, coverage, and then capability to come to speedier trials and then decisions can be much more integrated, can be made much more reliable. So, if legal advice, a part of that can be done by bots or part of that can be done by a system where humans will also have a role, the attorney hours may not be that much needed because no attorney would need to really go through some of the things that could be automated, some of the things that could be partially managed by legal chatbots and other devices. So the overall attorney hours that need to be spent on different tasks for different purposes can be reduced, which means that attorney can focus on providing specialized valuable services, and more importantly their services and advice will be all the more significantly valuable, and for the simple reason that they are the ones who cannot be replaced by AI, and more importantly attorneys will also know how to learn using AI to increase their capacity and then enhance their capability and understanding. So the future of legal advice is likely to be transformed by AI in more than one way. Then we have discussed about automated dispute resolution. AI enhanced courts can make a huge difference. Human judges may be using more AI modified or AI model judgments and then AI written judgments, or maybe relying on them more heavily. And then the whole legal structure as of now is built on a lot of paper documents, legal rules and then procedures and all. Now, when this can be easily translated into information structures, or as we say, code as law, law as code, when law becomes 100% comparable and interoperable with code, information science will replace the legal structures with data science based structures, coding systems, operating systems, and then whole lot of ecosystem that is built around data related data science and then AI related reasoning and then combination of the both. So in more than one way, the legal system can undergo transformations. But as AI becomes more ubiquitous and easily available, the cost of running AI will become very easily cheaper, just like as mobile phone and the mobile service are now. So the legal industry is bound to undergo a lot of transformation, and lawyers and law firms will still exist, but then how many of them will survive this onslaught and how many of them will really adapt to that is a big question. And more importantly, the technology will inevitably have to be more techno-savvy, technology-oriented and more efficient and more capable of keeping up with technology. So the human legal advice again may be limited to certain things or complex and high stakes matters or that involves very personal issues. So we may see the emergence of hybrid models for legal matters where humans will interact with systems to give advice, whereas independent of that, systems on their own may be giving legal advice, and then there will be a standalone human legal advice being made available. But the human-centric legal activities that are very unique to humans like moral advocacy, ethical judgments, and then certain things that need a lot of other expertise and then understanding may not be fully replaceable with AI. But to make all these things happen, we need to have ethical frameworks and data privacy so that AI-driven determinations or the decisions or the processes are fair, and then the biases in the decisions are prevented. Similarly, data privacy and data security are all the more important, but we may also see a lot of novel legal rules emerging on account of AI's interaction with law and justice. These novel legal rules may be more techno-oriented or technology-oriented processes, which may again be based on a different rationale, different logic. For example, AI may be able to come up with some deduction or deductive logic or with some deduction principles that may not be the ones which were earlier available to us. So the novel legal rules may be a combination of AI-based interpretation of certain rules and then laws and then guidelines with the combination of the earlier ones. So what exactly are the new novel rules, legal rules, we won't be able to predict now, but they will definitely emerge. Of course, there are a whole lot of market grade projections that legal tech in AI will go by 37 billion, and then the current rate is 35% compounded growth, annual aggregate growth rate. So these are all just estimates. We need not go by them because some of them may be hype. Having said this, we also need to look into if AI adoption is crucial for law firms, the efficiency versus cost also makes a huge difference. So for the firms, resisting AI could result in struggles to keep up with the changes, whereas firms leveraging AI early will have a competitive advantage. Paradoxically, AI can make a huge difference where humans are making a huge score now. In the sense that AI can make a huge difference in predicting legal outcomes, case outcomes and all. Because AI applications can do a lot of reading, past rulings and all. And then for law firms, this will enable them to use that as a supplemental tool or to identify where they have gone wrong, because the AI can predict where the system, your understanding is weak or why your argument did not get accepted. And data-driven insights, which AI can give really guide, will also be part and parcel of the legal argumentation process. So, in future, or the lawyers may be arguing more on data-driven evidence or on data-based sorted evidence. For example, they may be arguing more in terms of data science discourse, in terms of more probabilistic risk assessment, in terms of statistics and other things. So, what the legal firms have to do, what the consumers have to do, what the advocates have to do, what the courts have to do, if they have to deal with predictive analytics is a big issue. But if predictive analysis becomes a very prominent, widely used application, there is a downside to that. That downside is people may think that AI's predictive analysis is most reliable, it is the most acceptable one, and then they may try to tailor their arguments around that. In which case, the human thinking, the human capacity to really flesh out certain things on account of intuition and other things may get lost or may get little eroded. It's also possible that predictive analytics may guide the thinking on some certain patterns. For example, if a lawyer goes through predictive analytics statement of about 7 or 8 cases consecutively, he or she may fail to see the failings or some issues with them, rather they or may think that this sort of analysis is the fine and this is something that need not be or should not be challenged. So as we rely more on predictive analytics, it will be something like a psychophancy effect, in the sense that we want to see more of that because we believe in more of that, and as we believe in more of that, we will try to believe more of that. So this sort of thinking, this sort of practice in the long run is not good for justice, is not good for law also. Document review we have seen, contract analysis we have seen what sort of efficiency it comes, document automation also we have seen, the need discovery also we have discussed earlier. We have also discussed about AI chatbots earlier, and then also about illegal analytics. We have talked in earlier sessions as well. So, when it comes to workflow, when it comes to tasks which normally done by teams of lawyers today, AI can easily do much better, much more easier, much more faster, and much more efficient. But for lawyers and then for law firms, AI enhances work in the sense that it can automate repetitive tasks while it can give valuable insights. It can help lawyers to focus on certain areas like strategic thinking, client advocacy, complex legal analysis, or dealing with complex cases. But then there are also other issues like many lawyers may feel that they are falling behind efficiency and if they resist AI, or they may not be able to credit the clients because clients may feel that it is better to go to a firm that relies on AI than to a firm that does not use AI. So it is also possible that the legal service perception of AI and its benefits and costs may undergo a shift, and the legal services firm may be using AI just to see that they are not feeling left out of the scenario. So it could happen that AI may become a subtle but very important psychological tool in the hands of lawyers and the law firms. We know about the legal tech startups. We have discussed about that in the Indian context. Globally, the situation is very similar, but globally it's much more complex than what we are seeing in India today. And what are the implications of all this for law and justice is not yet clear, but then the predictions are that it is going to be inevitable. But as we saw in the session earlier also, that all these very, very positive predictions, all these scenarios that tell us that it's going to be a revolution that is happening, or there is going to be something that is really going to make a huge change, or likely to be true. But we should also understand that it is very difficult to predict the future, particularly in a context of law and justice when a technology like AI is being used. So we should not think that everything is going to be smooth. We should not simply think there will be minor hiccups. Rather, we should be prepared for a scenario where we should enter into with best hopes and with worst fears in our mind. So this is the penultimate session. In the last session, I will be summing up what we have discussed so far in all the 39 sessions with some thoughts on AI, law and justice. Thank you.